What's up everyone, I'm Jack Main. Thanks for checking out the Get That Skate podcast. We've got a new release happening this week. It's the first one in about a year. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what we got dropping on Thursday. Starting off with some basics, the wheel logo tee with the new font. Got that one dropping, that's a classic. Got the same thing in a new colorway. This is indigo blue. The camera just doesn't show how good the color this is. This is like going to be a favorite for sure. Beautiful t-shirt. After that we got the daisy. It's like a banana yellow. Hawaii vibes. You can wear this out in the sun. It's going to make you pop in all those photos or those clips you're getting. Keep it going with the basics. We got the crew neck. There's not many of these, so make sure you grab these quick. Keeps you warm, keeps you looking good, and perfect for raw runs because it shows off that big wheel on the back. That's a sick one. Tradie shirts are back. If you've been to Australia, you've seen all the people working out in these, but they also work for those big open roads, keeping you safe. Got the big wheel on the back, collar, buttons, pocket in the front. Got these in two colorways. Got the yellow, the first tradie shirt we did, and the orange. Again, the camera's probably not showing the colors too good, but these are super bright, keep you super safe on those open roads. After that, got one of my favorites, GTS ECW tee. Got the barbed wire through the GTS, Get That Skate across the front. Just a print on the front. Classic tee, that one. Same thing in another colorway. Sweatshirt grey, big black GTS across the front. I think this one will be a favorite, probably one of my favorite tees in this drop. After that, got the one that I'm wearing, GTS hoodie. So you got the hood, you got the drawstring, big GTS across the front, and this pouch down the front, which is super warm. The inside of these feels super nice. Same Get That hoodies we've always used. So I'm expecting these to go quick. There's not many of them, so get them while they're hot. And we do have a new skate graphic dropping. So if you want to find out who's on the back of this purple tee, I'll give you a clue. He's one of Australia's best riders, probably the world. I would show you the graphic on the back, but after this podcast, as soon as this podcast is uploaded, I'm going to upload a raw run. Zabauba in North Carolina last year. Go check it out. You'll see the back of this shirt.
Welcome back to the Get That Skate podcast. I'm Jack May. I've got three special guests with me tonight. We've actually tried starting this podcast about 6 times now. So shout out to the crew in the crowd that are helping out with production. Starting with a returning guest sitting next to me in the maroon shirt, Mr. Jev. Thanks for jumping back on again.
Thank you for having me.
Legend.
Pleasure to be back.
Thank you. The last time you were on the podcast was before your Euro tour.
Yeah.
Before your world tour, I should say. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was a minute ago.
Pretty hectic.
It was a minute ago.
But I appreciate you back and jumping back on.
It's a pleasure.
We got two frequently asked guests on. They've finally made their way down to the Central Coast to jump on. I get messages weekly to get these people on the podcast. If you hear cans clicking, it's because there's a room full of people not sitting still. In the middle here, Scoot Mano. What's happening?
Not much.
Thanks for jumping on.
Good to be here.
And next to him, we've got Benson. I'm going to record on my phone who's in the room right now.
You got Max under there somewhere.
So I'll play that in the clip. I'll hold it up. We're in the podcast room. It's not big. Thanks for jumping on, boys. So thanks for coming down. How long was the drive down?
Like 7 hours or something.
7 or 8 hours.
I was sleeping.
7 because you were asleep the whole way. Yeah, no, it was closer to 11, but we had a couple stops. We had some KFC.
And I've got breaking news as well for the podcast. Can we, crowd, you can help me out here as well, actually, and the guests that are on the show tonight. Can we just have a round of applause for Max Heaton getting his P's?
Oh,
time.
Crazy.
I'm very proud of him for getting his P's. He beat Haz, which is fantastic. Had some messages today letting me know that Max can't swim, so we got the P's out of the way. We'll move on to the swimming.
He did say it was a goal of this year, but I'm not entirely convinced we'll get there yet. You know, small steps.
Well, if you're wondering about getting there, you can just get that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, boys, you two are the most requested people to jump on the podcast. There's like 1,000 different topics we could be talking about. Hopefully we get some time to do another one tomorrow because you're in town till tomorrow. Welcome back anytime. But I thought we'd jump on and talk about some wheel terminology. I saw someone on YouTube do a wheel terminology video or something like that, or maybe it was on Instagram. I thought that's a really cool idea. But then I remembered that you two have a completely different dictionary in terms of explaining wheels. What are some of your most used words to describe wheels? Well, what's your favourite? Because I've heard the word major come a lot. Just talking to the microphone for me, right up close to it. Explain major to the people listening at home.
It's basically the 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the most...
The full mage. Yeah.
And you use that word to describe
Everything.
more things than just wheels.
Yeah, pretty much life.
Honestly, pretty much everything. It's almost every second word that comes out of Benson's mouth, if we're going to be honest.
I have to be honest.
Now, just before we rip into that word, I know that you're both Young Dolph fans. His hit song Major. Did the word come from listening to Young Dolph over the years, or is it just something that kind of popped up in your vocabulary? Rest in peace to Young Dolph, by the way. So we got Major. We decided in the planning of this podcast, which was just me yelling at everyone to stop vaping and to shut up. But we wrote a list of words down that you guys use to describe different wheels. And I thought it would be a good idea we could have a laugh talking about the different words that you use to describe wheels and maybe give examples of what those wheels that feel that way can be.
How long we got?
We got as much time until we kick Callum out.
Yeah.
Of the cast.
Bring her in. Bring her in.
I
Got the milk.
We've got to start her off with the butter. So that's probably the most vast term.
Just talk right up to the mic.
Yeah, so the butter is like basically when your wheels just do exactly what you want them to do.
Okay.
That's the best way I can put it.
Scotty?
I'd agree. Like butter zone.
The whole podcast is going to be them going, I agree.
No, like the butter zone. It's just the point where you can feel your wheels wearing, like you can feel the wheels not sliding, but wearing under your feet.
Okay.
And it's just the fucking butter zone. It's like hot butter.
The pavement
sliding.
becomes way more noticeable.
So is it in the pavement feel buttery or okay?
Well,
Yeah, it can
I
be
would
at
say
all.
like the buttage kind of transcends all sort of ways that you would describe
Pretty much
a wheel.
every wheel is butter zone in one way or another.
Okay.
Because you could have like a chalky wheel, but it's like in the full buttage as well.
Yeah.
If it's chalking correctly.
Okay, I'm starting to understand. So
Yeah.
it's multidisciplinary, that
Yeah.
word.
It's like
Yeah.
the
Don't even know what
consistent
that means.
feeling.
Really
It's like
transcends.
when all your wheels are evenly being weighted in the road sliding.
And what wheels have you rode that are, like you said that every wheel has its own butter zone. Tell me a wheel that's just the most perfect butter zone that you've ever had.
The most perfect butter zone.
Clear cries.
77 mil clear speeds.
Clear speeds.
Yeah.
Seismic. What about you, Scotty?
Clear cries.
Clear crybabies. What, the blue ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the yellows are better, but they don't make them anymore.
The yellows that you rode at your jitterbug
Yeah.
run.
Yeah,
With the full
I reckon
buttage,
they're better.
regardless.
But both of them are done.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Jeff?
Did you do a jitterbug run?
On the yellow
I never
cries.
saw that.
Yeah, you go check it out on Get That Skateboard.
Oh shit! Big Rocky's been sleeping under it.
No, currently I've been using these Quay A1s,
Okay.
and I mean in Australia at least, like
They're the buttage.
most things is buttage, but like these boys have been doing some shrapling on them, and like confirmed butter zone for sure.
Well, are they the white ones you're riding today?
yeah. So a little bit taller, bigger core, bit wider, butter.
They're well
Full butter.
weighted. They're just like,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah,
feel
well
like the
weighted.
lips and the middle and everything is just consistently being used.
Okay.
I mean,
You're
they're
not like-
tiny now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
those
it
lips
wasn't-
are just like holding on.
Like it's definitely pretty
They don't
common
want to,
for like
but they-
wide wheels to just like just the outside wants to wear heaps more and then the inside kind of stays big. These are
Okay.
like doing more of an hourglass, like consistent, like your weight's been spread through the wheel from the middle out instead of just like digging the edge.
Butter zone.
Okay.
Butter zone.
That's
Butter
that's the
zone.
Buttage for
You-
sure.
See, for people that have heard, may have seen you use the word butter zone before, this is just helping them understand the
Yeah.
Australian terminology for the different wheel brands.
Yeah.
So we got the butter zone. We can always come back and touch on the on a terminology, a word to use again. We can always come back and touch on one. But what else do we have on the list?
Well, I mentioned the chalk. I
let's
mentioned
go
the
with
chalk.
chalk.
I mentioned the
Chalk
chalk
is-
before,
yeah.
and like, I think there's a couple ways because we also have scratch down there.
Yeah.
But I feel like the chalk kind of
the Chalky is definitely like more of a harder, dry feeling slide. Like definitely in the road,
Okay.
but a lot more of a like firm feeling. Like it's not the soft, smeary feeling. Like it's a more defined difference between sliding and gripping.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got an idea of what a chalky wheel would be in my head. I don't know if you two would have. I know you've, especially you, Benson, have tried so many different wheels.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, Jev, you might know this one. Thinking back to the Sector 9 Butterball.
Mm.
yeah.
Would that be
for
a
sure.
chalky wheel?
But they were like,
They're
as we
soft
said
chalk.
before, like how the butter kind of transcends all things. Like they were the butteriest
Yeah.
chalk
They were-
wheels I've
Okay.
ever used for
Yeah.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Guest appearance. When you hear the word chalky, what wheel do you think of?
To
Jump in
me,
the camera a little bit.
yep. First wheel that I ever rode that I was like, damn, this is chalky. I don't know if they still make it. You could probably elaborate on this for me, Scotty. Seismic, there was landslides.
Yeah.
And another wheel. Yeah.
Le-
Yeah, they had like a firmer, buttery feel. So
the
it's
blue
like
ones.
a firm, burning off feel, but firm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I dig what you're
You feel
saying.
me? I'll come back in later.
I just want to make sure everyone heard that.
Those wheels are fucking
Yeah,
gas.
they're
So what
definitely
to-
good.
You give your definition of chalky.
See, like to me, and I'm sure we're gonna touch on scratchy too. But I feel like sometimes that can be a blurred line for me. But chalky is kind of like they're still feigning, but they're a little bit more above. They're not kind of peeling like you would get with like a more softer feeling wheel.
Yeah, more shallow
For
in the
sure,
road.
yeah, shallow, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Also-
how I would feel it.
Yeah.
What's the great descriptive words right now?
Yeah. I feel like you often get that from more of a side set wheel too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm.
Like they
Like
just
a
don't
f- like a old
they don't
flashback
flex.
or something?
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
flex enough to give you that like in the road feel.
And would you say that a chalky or a scratchy wheel also gives off like a different sound compared to other wheels?
Yeah,
Because you hear
chalky.
some wheels that are just so smooth, even when
Yeah.
they get down to the core, and then you hear, like an example would be when we were filming at one of the runs in NC, and you were on those clear big square lips. When they were coring, dude, it was like someone was screaming.
Yeah, they're louder.
It's so
for sure. I
crazy.
feel like chalky wheels are louder.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Okay.
Those ones were definitely in the scratch zone,
Mm,
but they'd gone from like sugary to scratch.
Okay.
So like I
Sugar,
feel
yeah.
like chalky can go into the scratch, and then like sugary can go into the scratch. But
Let's talk up here.
the
That's better.
like I feel like butter is more like creamy, pasty,
yeah.
and sugar
Pasty,
and
yeah.
chalk turns into more of a scratch at like
Yeah.
when the wheel gets smaller.
So tell me what a scratchy wheel that you've
So
ridden
a
is.
scratchy is like when a wheel's like a square lip wheel or something gets to like the point where the lip is
Yeah.
about to start chunking off,
Yeah.
and it's just like flexes heaps more.
Yeah,
So
you
you
get
get
those
heaps-
really thin lips, and you know
Yeah.
they're just gonna.
Again, I'd
Chunk
also, like,
off.
I'd also reference like a side set. Like I often notice
Yeah.
when I was using the Quay sliders, like
As soon as
like
the round lip's
smaller
gone,
ones,
yeah,
as soon as they kind of got through the main chunk of the wheel, it kind of just, there's no other word to describe it. It's like, it just feels scratchy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's good in a way. When a wheel's slidey, a bit of scratch gives you that resistance that you need. It's not even resistance. It's just like knowing that you can sit on it a bit more and have an edge.
Feedback. It's a
Right.
little bit more
But-
feedback.
Yeah, but if you got like scratch on a grippier wheel, it's definitely like red.
So talk about Sugary. You mentioned Sugary.
Sugary is like the grain. Like you can feel your wheels
sugary grain.
like disintegrating.
So when you look, when you do that really good slide, you look back and see the thin lines,
I feel like you can see it in the feign.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
shinier.
like
Yeah.
a different type of
Yeah,
thin line.
for
Okay.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Like a sugary wheel, you can pretty much go up and rub the thane off the road.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've
Yeah.
got like a buttery wheel, that's like they tend to give off like heaps more of a gummy feel. Like the
Yes,
thane
yes.
doesn't sit on the top of the road; it's underneath.
We've just got another guest appearance because while we're talking about Sugary, the way that they're explaining Sugary for someone like you and someone like you, sorry, who has ridden this wheel in the past, I'm thinking when I think of Sugary, Volante Checker.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Good wheel.
Like going towards Chalky there,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
yeah, but
way.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a
there's a
spectrum.
gradient. Yeah, it's a whole spectrum.
Yeah.
At
I reckon-
100%. But I feel like Jev really hit the nail on the head. You can see it.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
sparkly.
Definitely
it's
notice
like-
it in
Yeah,
the road.
it's
you
like
know?
a wetter chalky feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say something like, and it's a bit on the fringe, but like a tracer.
I was
Like
going to say a
anything-
tracer.
Anything
yeah.
that's going to paint a lot. Or they had, I forget what maybe the mini zombies in like yellow.
The 82A.
Yeah, the 82As were super sugary, I noticed when I
Yeah.
used to ride them. And you could it's like had a sparkle in the road, you know?
Speaking of tracers, we've got another guest in the crowd.
Oh, here we go.
Hello, everyone.
Introduce yourself.
Callum
Here we
Gerard.
go.
Big horse.
Callum Gerard. G-Rad. Some would know.
No one calls him that.
Know your name,
you
bro.
actually helped
Sorry.
prototype the tracers back in the day. The definitions and the words that they're using to describe a tracer is Sugary. Is that how the tracers felt for you back in the day?
Yeah, considering I was like very lighter back then, indeed.
We get it. He's big.
Very light about that.
They were the only wheels I ever caught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you just come a bit closer? Give the camera a big flex.
Yeah, just show them it. Yeah.
Whoa, massive.
Nice.
Sorry.
Thanks for joining us. Right. So Sugary, another interesting word to describe a feeling.
I
of
would
a
also
wheel.
say, like, usually to me, a sugary wheel, like, it wears a lot quicker.
Yeah.
For sure. It paints it.
Pretty much got to be clear.
Sugary
So-
wheels are way easier to
Not
smear.
necessarily, but
For
it's-
seismic, maybe. Yeah.
What's a
Just-
Sugary wheel that you've loved?
Actually, yeah, like
Dusties.
Abex and shit. are
Well, yeah,
sugary.
Dusty.
And Majimba Cruiser's Dusties, like they were the full sugar.
Yep.
Like slippery as, but if you dig your toes in on them, they grip up and just like spit the lines. Like you can definitely find the slip zone and grip zone a lot more with the Sugary wheel, I reckon. Like
Slip zone. There's so many words. We could be here all night. Okay, so the Mujimba Cruisers Dusties,
Don wheel.
Don
Yeah.
Wheel. What about you? Sugary.
Well, like I said, like, to me, the Tracer was the epitome of that.
Sugar.
Like, I had a bit of a feel of that kind of feeling with like a couple of the colors in the Cult Classics
yeah.
Okay.
back in the day. And then maybe some of the mini zombies. But they
Right,
like you said, clear. I feel like clear's maybe not the best word. I think, like, even if it's colored, it's like translucent.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, it's not that full color.
Yeah.
And
Sugary is
so
clear.
the zombies were kind of like on the edge there because they were a solid color.
Yeah.
But like the Cult Classics and the Traces, they really nailed it.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
If they're clear, they're sugar. That's it.
Do you if we're talking about the butter zone, what do you prefer riding, a clear thane wheel
Yeah.
or a hard thane, like a
A buttery.
Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of great solid wheels,
Yep.
but clear wheels hit different
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the
Nothing gives you that same
There's something
predictable-
about seeing those thick thane lines that just makes you feel
Yeah.
better.
It's just slidier.
Yeah, even when it's like a thick thane line from a buttery creamy wheel, it's not the same as the thick
No.
thane line from a sugary like
Yeah.
floaty wheel. It's just
But I will say, like, from a hands down perspective, like white, just pure white wheels generally find
Always seem to
that-
feel better.
They just find
Yeah.
that butter zone so much better, and I'm not sure like what about the diet is, but for hand sounds, it's just always that butter zone. Doesn't matter where you are.
And everyone has their preferences and their favorites, but I'm just thinking back to simply the Rat Advantage, sliding a white one and sliding a red one. I always just preferred sliding the white ones.
Yeah, wow.
People could be different, but
The difference between on top of the pave and in the pave.
Even
Okay.
the free ride ones, what were the
glides and the releases.
the releases?
Yeah,
the
white releases
The
were
white
full
was
dump.
so much better.
I never tried
So
the Jimmy
much better.
Rias. Did you get to try them?
Oh, they were definitely different. They were all,
Rias.
63 mil.
yeah, they were the tiny ones.
Oh no, I never used.
They were
those.
grippy for the size.
Okay.
Like something about, I don't know. They were a bit different.
How would you describe a James Kelly rad wheel?
Chronic.
Creamy.
Yeah. They're like a compact sugar.
Okay.
So like, I don't know. I feel like buttery wheels feel compact. Like the Thane is a lot more like one wheel sliding feeling. Like it's just all consistent. Whereas Sugary is like you can feel each individual grain of the wheel
it's
coming
pulling
off.
apart a lot more.
Yeah, it's a lot
yeah,
nicer
I feel
personally.
that.
It tends to be slidier. When you got like all that compact Thane, it just feels like more contact slowing you down
Okay.
in a way.
At least here, like in the heat,
Yeah.
and you can actually feel the individual particles of the
Yeah.
wheel like pulling off. Yeah,
Crazy
for sure.
stuff.
The Don.
Scotty,
Rondon.
Scotty, you mentioned
I need to chime in here. We're talking about Australian roads. Everyone thinks they're slipperier. What do the boys think?
question
How does that affect the feel?
for people who've done so much traveling around the world.
Goldie
Benson's
is
yet
the
to
best
come. Benson's World
anywhere.
Tour is coming. For those people who keep asking me on Get That, because they actually are.
Slipperier, I don't know if it's the right word.
No.
I would just say of everywhere I've been anywhere, it's just the most butter.
100%.
And it's a combination of like, at least like you said, like Gold Coast or Sunny Coast or like anywhere kind of like Queensland that's not rough. You just have this combination of like heavy heat and humidity and like a really nice, like smooth grainy, like it's not European smooth where it's just like tabletop, like perfectly done. It's kind of grainy.
Yep.
And that just like puts you in the butter no matter what.
Yeah, it's like
Always.
smooth to roll, but there's gaps in like the pavement, so it eats your
Yeah.
fucking wheels.
Yeah.
The
And you
page-
just,
Yeah. It's basically.
I'm
like-
thinking if you know how sandpaper makes things smooth.
yeah, exactly.
kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diamond in the rough. You
That's
know?
it.
Yeah.
So,
It's-
Scotty, you mentioned buttery.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, you mentioned creamy. You mentioned
Yes.
creamy. Let's talk about creamy.
Oh,
Okay.
the cream.
So like, I feel like creamy's more of a grippy butter.
Yeah.
Okay. Expand on that.
So like, a real buttery wheel will just be like the same. I feel like it's the same throughout the whole slide, but a creamy wheel will sort of get grippier throughout the slide,
Okay.
More gummy for sure.
and it can feel better or worse if you're like
Yep.
on for the slide.
So starting grippy and ending slippy, or starting slippy and ending grippy, or vice versa.
Starting slippery, ending grippy for sure, but
Give me an
not
example.
necessarily starting slippy.
Okay.
Creamy wheels tend to be harder to slide further.
Yes.
Usually, like a good creamy Thane needs to be in a narrow shape to like hit the butter zone that you're looking for.
Yep.
For sure.
See, but from a hand sound perspective, I feel like the cream is everything you want.
It
As
does
a
sound.
cream
It does
and-
sound.
Yeah, the cream in a downhill, like for a hands down slide, is like you can initiate super easily, or at least like easily enough, and then like as you're nearing the end, like it has all that feedback to like pop you back into grip,
When you force
and
the grip.
that's ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd prefer a creamier wheel when it's like a heavier hill where I really like
Trying to be on the safe side.
Don't, yes, don't want to wash whatever, and then like more sugary wheel when I just want to fucking milk it. Like,
Okay.
yeah,
Give me an example of a creamy wheel.
Again, white wheels,
What?
Magnums, quays, and
Yep.
then you kind of have some like exemptions. Like you have like, I feel like the purple seismics have a lot of that.
I reckon the like purple or like any clear seismic sugar as, and then like the black ops like blue alphas
That's the
or
sugary butter.
that is like the butter cream. It's not
Cream.
It's not
like
the cream.
cream in seismic. I feel like we've got more of a just sugar
Yeah.
like butter.
Overall.
Yeah.
But I want to hear examples of a creamy wheel. Benson, I'm counting
Creamy
on you
wheels.
because hold on. And I respect it. These are two sponsored wheel riders.
Yeah.
You're, in my eyes, it's like you're the perfect free agent. You're trying every single wheel. You have so much to talk about. And shout out to Seismic, shout out to Quay. But we're talking about wheels that we've ridden in the past. Everyone has a past, all right? But give me an example of a creamy wheel.
In my opinion, creamy wheels are Checkers for sure.
Okay.
When I tried them, they were the cream. Like, for sure, it's literally the first
Volant
word that-
Checkers.
Yeah.
Okay.
First word that comes to mind.
Interesting.
In the 68, at least.
Yeah.
64s are a little bit more sugar,
Yeah.
a bit more grain.
Any other wheels you guys can think of?
Creamy.
I'm trying to think back, and I'm thinking to like when they first released the 76A Biggie Hogs in the grey. The grey really had like the blue was much more butter in that sense. It was a lot nicer,
Yeah.
but the grey had that like feedback towards the end. that
The
you could
grey were
just, like,
creamy,
snap-
but
yeah,
the, like,
cream.
yeah, it's like they had the creamy thing,
Exactly.
but the symmetrical like wide lips gave them that like scratch, like crispness to it. That
Yeah.
was just like,
crisp.
yeah,
I've heard a lot of people, for example, this could have changed because this was a conversation I had a long time ago, but I was talking to Haz about, I always preferred to ride a Mach 1 Cannibal.
Yep.
And he obviously rides the
dogs.
Magnums a lot. And then we had a conversation, he said for like open roads skating and being as safe as you can, the Mach 1 Cannibal is probably the wheel for that. Magnums obviously because they're more sought after and they're just making more, but I'd say like a Mach 1 Cannibal, from what I've learnt, the word creamy, that would be a creamy wheel for me. Like
Agreed.
broken in, going out skating, and you want to still go hard but be on the safer side. It's a great wheel to
I
skate.
would almost say maybe the opposite though.
they're sugar.
To
but
me,
they're
I
pretty
think
pave
maybe
dependent.
the Magnum might be more creamy from the definition that we're pulling right now
for the lip effect.
for the lip effect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
True.
Whereas like the Mach 1 is a little bit more butter. It's a little bit like maybe a little bit more sugar just from that contact patch.
Yeah.
That like it's a bit easier to just
If you're on a bit of a
Chill,
grittier pave,
yeah.
they're more like of a like crisp buttery slide.
Okay.
But if you're on a smoother pave and you're like feels more compact, I reckon they can hit the creamage for sure.
Okay.
At least in 76A, I've never tried the soft ones.
I've never used the 74A Mach
Yeah.
1s, but I certainly know someone who has. And if he's not asleep, he should tell us all
Jump
about
up and have a little guest appearance.
because he's ridden both,
Hello.
and I would like to hear his opinions.
He's just coming from the crowd.
Mach 1s,
Bang.
bloody hell. Mach 1s versus Magnums, Max. What's going on?
Just come put your head in the camera. Just you're gonna have to lean in.
I will.
Come on, squeeze in. Shit, sweaty ass, Max.
Which one?
Tell us about your love for 74A Mach 1 Cannibals.
Yeah, Mach 1s versus Magnums, 74A.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right, yeah, thanks. Thanks, Jack.
Put your head in the
Yeah.
camera a bit so the people at home can see.
Sorry.
And talk into the mic. Oh my goodness.
Bro, but I'm like, I've
First
been
rodeo
napping,
or
man.
First time.
So, yeah, the Magnums, the 76As were like just overly slippery. Like I don't really like those. Then when we all swapped to 74s, that's like where the butter comes in, I guess.
That
But
butter
then-
zone that we keep hearing
Yeah,
about.
butter zone, 100%. And like when they're fully broken in and like got a couple mil off, like even more so, 100%. Like I still enjoy riding Magnums, but for like day to day stuff, the 74A mags, Mark 1, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the creamy aspect, I don't really find it with them.
Okay.
Not a whole lot. And like it was the same with the 76A Mark 1s, like they were slippery.
Mm.
Like definitely slippery. Like they like glide across the
I
pavement.
Yeah, I
don't
feel
really-
like
I don't know anyone that prefers a 76A over a 74A.
I would still ride them. Like if I could split a case, I would still get 76s.
Yeah.
Because like every day, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then obviously with the 74A, like you drop your durability a whole bunch. But yeah, they feel way more in the pavement, and they actually end up like, yeah, I mean, I guess like towards like the end of slides, you get way more feedback, which is good. If
Interesting.
that makes sense. So like that's kind of your creamy definition. Is like
Yeah.
you start to get pull.
But comparatively
slide them.
between a Magnum and a Mac 1, what would you like? How would you define each? And for what?
Like for what purpose?
Yeah.
Each Duro and model.
No. Just
Just
74,
74, but each model.
but each model.
I don't know. I'm racing on 74A Magnums for sure.
Magnums, yeah.
Yeah, but then it like I mean like that's just like the scene and scenario. It's like
Yeah.
when you're free riding and open road riding, I'm on Cannibals all day every day, like 100%.
But it comes down to preference. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
100%.
Yeah.
Like just as the safer wheel, like something that I can manage. Like the Cannibals go way harder. Magnums not so much.
I'm with you.
Anyway, yeah,
People are different.
yeah, yeah,
Thanks for joining us.
yeah.
Go back to sleep.
All right, move on over. It's hot here, dude. I'm knocking shit over.
So we've been through buttery. We've been through.
The creamage. went through the
Cream.
sugar.
We did the sugar. We did a bit of scratch. We did a bit of shore.
Oh, the fade maximum.
You touched on some grain, but
You wanted to start on
you
the
touched on
grain?
some grain, but you didn't really like get into it too much. I feel like that would be fun.
I feel like with most high rebound race wheels that you can't reach the same like cream factor as like an actual dumper,
Okay.
and it goes into more of the grainy butter.
Are we talking about grainy right now? We're going to dive straight into dumpers because I hear that coming from you boys a lot. I hear it coming from the Melbourne boys. People are catching on to this terminology. Should we talk about dumpers?
From more of an outside, not so much free ride perspective, I feel like dumpers can almost be classified by any of these. To a certain degree, because you can have an icy dumper, you could have a scratchy dumper. Well, but they just got to dump. They just got to dump.
Yeah, true.
Like it's not necessarily if they're a certain one of these words that we've talked about. Is that close?
If a wheel doesn't dump, none of these.
Matter.
Yeah, correct.
Mm-hmm.
So let's. I just really want for the people that are listening to have an example. Favorite dumper.
77mm clear purple speed vents.
77mm clear purple speed vents.
Yeah.
Yellow cries.
Yellow cries.
60
I've seen them dump in front of the car and it's crazy. Straight out of the plastic they were dumping. Like first slide's just going crazy.
They come with skin too. It's done.
Crazy. Jev?
I'm low on examples recently, but
the Quay's dumper.
well, yeah, but it's not the dumpage.
It's because it's here.
No, they dump everywhere.
Nah, I mean they've been dumping, but they're not like that, like thick, like
Proper.
dumpage. Like
When you
I
don't have to
would say
resist.
back in the day again, like on traces,
Yeah.
I was dumping, and you could kill one of them, like a set of them in a session, and that's like I
Can
feel
you-
like that's the true thing of a dumper. It's like they die.
Can you dump a power wheel?
Always.
A race form, yeah, bro. Snakes,
Snake, no.
bin.
Yeah.
Kids wheels.
We're hurting some people tonight, boys.
See, if Aiden Essex was here and he rides snakes for absolutely everything. Aiden Essex dumps has
False news. Where's the evidence?
But
There's a
does
difference
he?
between leaving Thane and dumping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk
And
about that.
that's what I was like getting at with like the quays is
Yeah.
like the downhill wheels. Like I leave Thane everywhere for sure, but they don't dump.
No,
They don't just like evaporate.
they leave
Which
just
is like-
enough to be
yeah,
butter.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they're
It's the
good.
butter.
Otherwise, they'd die too quick.
Yeah, but the dumpage is like you can
That- yeah,
see
it's a
it getting
big-
smaller. It's
Yeah.
disappearing. You know, and like you said, you've seen it.
Yeah.
in front of
comes-
the camera. They go.
It goes
You're
back
right,
to the
dumpers,
butter
you can
zone.
flat spot your wheels.
I've got
I'm,
another
like,
special
feeling
guest
it
just jumping in.
Where?
What have we got here?
I've got
Yeah, Frosty.
Central Coast, hometown, GTS, Austin Jones. Introduce yourself to the camera.
Who, me? Oh,
Come in.
I think you said enough. That's all we need to know.
We're talking about dumpers.
There's a
What's your
TT
favorite
in there.
dumper? Wheel that just thanes. Because I've seen you ride some thaney wheels. I've not seen him ride a brand new wheel since the day I met him. He just has all these like slightly ridden wheels that he just destroys. So tell me about some dumpers you've ridden in your past, Austin.
I think the most recent one was the pink 7.0.
Whoa, dumper.
That
Yeah.
Wow.
ABEC 11. Oh, ABEC 11 had a sub company named Pink, and they brought out the same shapes in the pink urethane. They also did them under ABEC 11.
Yeah.
They were trying to run like a female company.
Yeah. The
Everyone
pink,
rode them.
the pink 7.0s were just zigzag shape, but in pink thane.
No,
It's like-
no. They weren't zigzags.
You sure?
Were they? Weren't they?
the
rounded?
7.0s were the more
Nah,
squarer.
Yeah, the
square
7.0s are the square
That was-
lips.
that was
But were they
zigzag
same?
shapes.
Yeah,
were
they're
they
the
exact
exact
same
same.
shape?
Exact
Yeah.
same.
They, something's
2
telling me
weeks
they
ago.
could have had like a thinner lip, but I still don't think they would
Nah,
have
they're
went to that.
exact
Didn't
same.
they just also do 77A zigzags? Were that?
They were reflex, but
They weren't
Yeah.
classic.
haven't
Yeah.
tried them.
I'm the wrong guest to bring on during these questions. I don't know.
Well, it was nice to have you on. Thanks for
Yeah.
jumping
Yeah,
on.
thank you.
No, but
Because
but those wheels that I was just riding recently, like the whole way through them, like every single slide, you have to look at it and like
They're insane.
I did that. So yeah.
Have you rode the R-Bar? Thanks for jumping on, Austin. Chime in.
Yeah.
Just want to chime in real quick because we were talking about the Pink 7.0. I don't know if this is what the current viewership would be into, but James Kelly's Tuna Raw
It's
Run,
literally-
that's on Pink 7.0s.
was literally gonna say, if you haven't seen
Yes.
this,
It's like as soon as they let go, they're peeling off, and you can see it in that clip, which was groundbreaking at
Yeah.
the time. But yeah, I just wanted to a quick shout out to that because I think he's on the money. They're dumpers. They're dumpers.
and like
as
the
soon as they're
distinction
letting
with
go,
that,
they're
like, and you can see it. Like the thane is so bright,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just shitting.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it's
I
just
just had a
falling,
wheel I wanted to talk about. and I
falling
forgot
off.
When it
Falling
rains,
off.
the thane is still on the road after you've skated 7. That's the best way you can put it.
Have-
How you know that
You rock up to
Okay,
Bell's local.
I've got a
Thane
dumper. I've got an
every
idea of a
time.
dumper. I don't. This is such a wheel that like I don't really know anyone that's ridden them, but you have, Jayden. A rain skate mega tsunami.
Yeah.
Dumper?
Yeah, and so that's where dumpers, but at the chalky end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
These were 85A.
They got the
But,
dry feel.
Like, there's nothing that feels like that today. That's that same durometer.
Did you prefer the orange or the pink? Because they were so good.
I preferred the orange because I thought it looked a little bit cooler to me, but that was probably an ego thing. But I feel like they were both dumping, and it was just like it was a chalky feel because it was a firmer wheel, so like less right sunk in and more like about here, like a little bit above, a little bit in, but yeah, just and they would like you would do a slide like this. And they just leave lines, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And that's
The
kind of
wheel-
like where I was getting at. Like, I feel like dumpers can be buttery. Well, they're all kind of buttery, but they can be like a little bit scratchier or a little bit chalkier as
100%.
long as they're like leaving thane.
So were
They're
the
dumping.
a dumper would be a wheel that leaves a super thick thane line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you tried the Arbor, Sucrose, Daniel McDonald wheels?
Got a set on the way.
Do you have the round? Because he has his name, and it's the same with Tyler Howe. There's like multiple shapes with the same name on it, which makes it very confusing. Shout out to them people for getting wheels. But I got a set of the round lip Daniel McDonald's in white. Dude,
Yeah, I seen Fat Tony skate them in Cali. Dumping.
they're dumpers, bro.
Yeah.
Dumping.
It looked like spray paint, those lines. It's a shame that they cost so much money because you can kill them in one session. You can kill them in half an hour,
Same
bro.
as anything,
But
but
it's also-
sweet
that's like-
quarter.
This is
Straight
another
up.
thing, like that I think of when you bring up Fat Tony. is I feel like some people can make any wheel a dumper.
Yeah.
Because I've
Facts.
seen
Facts.
Okay.
I've seen people. For example, I've seen Brennan Bast make a Magnum a dumper before,
Okay.
and they just die. They
Yeah.
just like die into the road because he's just putting them down. And again, Tony is one of those dudes that I've never seen him ride a round lip that hasn't dumped.
Okay.
Plus, he's
just-
very fat.
I mean, not so much anymore. But yeah, he's Fat Tony. But I feel like a lot of that does come down to a style factor or a weight factor
Weight
too,
as well,
in a lot of ways, or just how
Yeah.
people put their weight into the wheels.
So I'm just ticking off the ones that we have.
Jeez.
Have we spoken about this one?
No.
Nice. Oh,
Talk about it.
all right. I'm sorry.
Everybody knows the
Benson,
ice.
Benson
No.
saying sorry already. Let's go.
The ice factor, snakes. So, ice factor is when your wheels are
Bends.
completely on top of the road. You have no feedback whatsoever.
It's just ice.
Yeah.
It's like ice on a tabletop. Just
Yeah.
fucking slide.
There is no safety in ice.
No good.
No butter. Opposite. Complete opposite.
Give some examples of a icy wheel, Jev.
Snake.
Snake.
And this is the thing. Some people love them. A lot of people love them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
Aiden Essex, who's like, honestly, I'm sitting at the table with all the people that would be in the conversation, but I think Aiden Essex is becoming one of the best free riders in the country at the moment.
without a doubt.
And and I mentioned this on the previous podcast, so I don't know if it's going to come out before or after this one, but he was loyal to the snake for 4 years before he even got sent one set.
Yeah.
He was
And,
loyal
like-
to him.
And like, dude, like some of the best free riders in the world are loyal to the snake.
There's something
And
it works
they are
for some
what
people.
they are because of the snake. But that doesn't take away the fact that they are the ice.
They're icy.
Don't get
know?
me wrong.
I feel
like
like, especially where we live, it's hard to
It's impossible.
use them because it's like
I actually rode a 72 or 5 purple K-Rams wheel at Kozakov, but if I ride it in Australia, I'm off the road.
Yeah. And I think it's because we have so much more incline. Like most of our roads are at, sea level, and they're generally shorter, and we just have a steeper gradient usually, and then more heat. That like a wheel that you can get away going 90 or 50 or 60 or whatever you want to do. In Europe, where it's a little bit colder, it's a little bit flatter, you're going the same speed, but here they don't react the same, and
it's
you
not the
just
same.
and you can't control that kind of ice.
Do you think icy wheels, icy would be the, I guess, type of wheel that would be affected by weight and heat?
yes.
Heat
Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure.
Heat.
Heat for sure.
Yep.
I feel like weight as well.
Weight as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm a lot heavier than some of the boys that I ride with, and I'm also predominantly hands down, and I can't ride a snake on like gnarly hills because I'm going off. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm crossing the lines. I'm all that.
I feel like you'll find that, and I mean, Aiden was mentioning this today, like almost anyone who rides a snake is not going to be putting their hand down anyway. Doesn't matter where you are.
They
or
can
who
still
you
skate
are,
all the same roads, but they don't put their hand down.
But if you put
It's like-
your hand down, it's ice. It's just that full ice factor.
so icy, you need to be on top of the whole time.
entirely.
Yeah.
It's a full
Otherwise,
balance
it's
game.
gone.
Yeah.
And ice can be good. Like I like
Yeah,
an
yeah.
icy wheel. I like snakes, but it's more of like a depending what you feel like on the day. Like
Of course.
if you feel like going just for the biggest possible skid,
Yeah.
an icy wheel is what you want.
Right.
Because you can just go as large as you want.
So I've just recently put a set of Byronessets on
Yeah.
my board, and like I was saying, like you said, there's some days where I feel like, I'm going to chuck some
Yeah.
snakes on and rip a snake. I haven't been riding snakes a lot because of the hands down and but
Right.
I put on a set of Byronessets my mum actually got me for Christmas. Shout out to mum. A couple of years back, they've been sitting in the box, but I put these Byronessets on, and I just felt like it was one of the most amazing wheels to the point where I was doing standees. I don't do standees.
They're
But that's
different.
They're a different wheel.
Yeah.
How would you describe a Byron Benson? I got one more wheel I want to ask you about after that.
A snake that thains.
Okay.
I would say
Like
creamy.
solves the problem.
Still as icy?
They're definitely still slip,
Yep.
but they have a butter zone.
Okay.
Yeah, they've left the ice zone.
You can burn a set of Byrons in a day.
So they're sitting outside of the ice zone. Still have characteristics of an icy wheel, but they're not quite. You wouldn't predominantly call it an icy
I'd call
wheel.
them slippery.
I want to ask you, Benson, because I dare say these boys haven't tried them, but we were talking earlier today about the red 72 mil K rhymes. Because these are some of my favourite wheels, and I've ridden purple K rhymes 72 mil. I've ridden the green K rhymes 72 mil, and these are different. Thoughts?
Greens are bin.
Yep.
Purples are bin. Reds are don.
Yep.
They're just like completely different thing. Full dumpers, like definitely what you're chasing. They're pretty unique feeling. There's not much that have a real similar feel to like the Powell dump.
Yep.
Like it's more of a like waxy feeling dump.
I feel like I hit the butter zone on them.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'd like to ask have you used the black?
the black, yeah, briefly.
And how would you compare that?
They're
The 75 mil ones.
yeah, a lot more pavement dependent. If
Yeah.
you've got like the buttery paved, you can definitely get them like feeling butterized and leaving decent lines and like dying pretty quick.
Yep.
But they're also like on a smooth pave, they're not the pick.
Because it's like, from what I've seen, not from personal use, but from people who've been skating around me, the blacks seem to feign the most in the most circumstances, from what I've seen.
When you say the
At least.
black thing the most, have you seen the orange in action?
Okay.
The orange were really grippy. I
Not
heard.
the orange. Not the orange. But if from the aforementioned, the green, the purple, and the red,
Yeah.
I feel like the black was the
Over the
most.
Hold on, we're
Yeah.
talking about two different thanes
Yeah.
right now, though. 72 is a different thane to the 75s that were in orange, black,
Ah.
purple, red, green.
They didn't do a 72 in black.
No, they
Nah.
didn't.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, only in
Yeah.
the 75.
That
I'm still
82
waiting on
there.
those yellow 72s Kevin was talking about.
Weren't they super hard?
88 Powell.
88?
82 or something.
Snakes are 82, the K-Rums are 88.
No, the yellow K-Rhymes is going to be different, I think.
Oh, true.
Could be wrong.
I don't know.
Wow.
I'm not up to date on the Powell Max.
Wow, dude. Does anyone remember when they came out?
So
'Cause
give
I
me
do.
the K-Rhymes wheels.
Yeah, do you remember that? Like, I feel like not many people remember.
Oh, I remember when they came out.
When they came out and they were selling them in packs of 5.
Yes.
And
For so cheap, dude.
And apparently
Oh,
apparently you couldn't pre-drift these wheels because they were the grippiest things in the world.
Do you know what colour were they talking about?
It was like
All
the
of-
five
Because I know the
pack.
orange were really
All of.
grippy, but I'd never got to try orange or black.
And I remember like real explicitly because a bunch of people around like bought the 5 packs.
Yeah.
And they were like, these are the grippiest race wheels in the world because Kevin said so. And then we went to Taipan and people were just not making it down.
Right.
And it was wild. It was a wild
Yeah.
moment in time.
There was 2
Like,
skaters at the first type in. There was the people riding mags and quays, gripping, like holding a line, and then there was people on like the O-tangs and like whatever we were talking, the power fucking rain quays. They were the full like. As soon as they go into the corner, try and hook up the skid, and they just dump and turn and like just going wide.
Because I remember,
Yeah, but
like,
you know what I feel about those 5 packs and the 75 mil wheels? I think Kevin, well, the wider community realise that Powell is, to me, a free ride wheel
Yeah.
company. Arguably, if you guys don't like them, so many people around the world love snakes. They love K-Rhymes. They're a free ride wheel company
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
When if I think of your Venom or even your Quay, to me, that's a downhill, like
Yeah.
trying to win races, grip,
Yeah.
lots of grip.
Serious.
So there's like, it's really different companies.
100%.
yeah.
100% agree with that. Like, and as
Big dick
far as
moment.
that niche, like, and shout out to Kevin, like, he is killing it.
Love what
that.
he's doing, yeah.
It's incredible what he's doing. But again, like, it's just finding what you like and running with it. Like, as you said, like, some people just strictly like the ice.
It's easy.
And they use it. and they use it so well in a way that not many other people can.
Yeah.
I just gotta keep
That's-
shouting out Aiden right now.
Yeah, Aiden,
Because, man.
exactly. And we watched him, like Max and I watched him do down a couple of runs today, and it's crazy to see it.
What he can
I
do
mean,
on
his
snakes.
progression has always been unreal.
Just going up.
But just to see like the ease of initiation, and then like how he just sits everything on it, is wild. It's
100%.
You spoke about, you mentioned the word Don. And we've got on the list here full Donson. So do you want to start with Don?
full dancing.
Do you want to start with Don and then ease into the full Donson and whatever's in between?
The Don is just like the cron Don, the
It's
top.
Don.
It's just the Don, yeah. Like it's the best.
To me, there's
The
no
Don.
other word that describes Don except for Don.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
just
much.
the Don.
So
Don
I'm
is
just-
like,
If you
a wheel's
imagine
Don,
like
you can't fault it.
Scarface,
Yeah,
if you imagine like Scarface, like that's just like he's the Don,
Okay.
you know?
Yep.
And that's it. Like you can't.
The crowd's just losing it.
Crowd goes wild.
Benson, I want to hear what your Don is. What's Don for you?
my Don for me. Oh, it's an old mate.
I'm not talking about George, I'm talking about Don.
Yeah, alright, I got a couple mates. Yeah, so Don is like an instant reaction.
Okay.
Like you put on a wheel that you haven't tried, you do a skid, and you know Don.
So
Like,
Don for me, Don for me would be that Byron Essett wheel I tried the other day.
instantly
Don.
you're just like Yep. Yeah, Don.
Give me, when was your last Don moment? Don moment.
Well, I only ride the dumpers.
Okay.
And
Okay,
every
so-
time I bang out a fresh set,
For that, literally,
Hold on, I'm gonna make that
every fucking session.
I'm gonna make you yelling out Don a button on the podcast machine. Can we just go full silent and then just give me another Don like you did, right up into the mic?
Don.
Thank you.
And like, if you skate with Benson, you hear this word like
There's no number.
every 5 minutes.
Mage Don.
Mage, Don, Cron,
Right
whatever.
on.
But like, and that's the thing, is when you're talking about wheels, you're like, yeah, like immediate. It's just immediate reaction. And I feel like that transcends to so many things for him. Because, for example, we're driving to the bakery today, and these two are just like, Dawn, like looking at all the side streets, like everything, every road we drive, Dawn, like, oh, and it's just in a complete lifestyle.
Yeah.
The Don transcends all. I think.
You always got to be looking out for the cron.
Yeah, you got the Cron always.
So we've got Don, Cron Don, and full Donson. Tell me
You got
what
the Mon.
what are you gonna? How can you differentiate full Donson from Don? Or
Full
is it-
Donson is like Don, like capitals, exclamation mark.
So
Gotta
but
feel it.
tell me your number one full Donson moment. Like out of all the times you've felt something that's Don, give me the one time that it was like the pinnacle.
The one time.
Full Donson.
One time.
Yep.
Oh, shit. Let me think for a second.
I don't even
All right,
think
I
you
got
know.
it. No, I know.
Okay, go.
First run down Special K.
Okay.
So I had red rad advantages on, like full pretty mids wheel. They're not like they're sick, but they're like everything's better.
Yeah.
Everything that I ride's better. And then just like literally roll down, like it's like pretty rough that hill. Just first skid, like carved out, kick out a hill standy, see what it's like. Dump full, just instantly, like so slip, just so smear, like no resistance. It was
Smear.
yeah.
I need to keep writing these down.
So smear is basically just like no kick out, no hook up. Like
No kick out, no hook up.
yeah, like you're just rolling and then it just
Smear
starts
it.
smearing
Yeah,
and then it's like
Yeah.
Snakes? like a premiere.
Nah,
Nah.
that's the
No?
bin. That is the full. They're gripping or they're
Yeah, but I
icing.
heard that the first ever premieres, you might be able to attest to this. The first blue premiere is like the first run that they did. Did you ride them?
They're like watery. They're like fast buttery.
Water.
Meltish almost.
Even like, if you're talking about viscosity and you had like butter or melted, it would be like thicker, right? And then if you got water and it's runnier, that's what premieres were like, But if you could work it out,
Yeah, but I'm talking about first batch.
First batch, yeah.
First batch, they were dumpier.
You couldn't hold them.
No, you couldn't like.
Yeah, they're like a Cadillac
People
swinger.
couldn't skate straight without their board just fishtailed. Yeah, that's slippery.
You couldn't put them on a corner.
But that was a wetter feel.
If we were
Wetter.
saying Ripper Tom,
Loud,
Tom,
man.
Do we have like another analogy for someone
Jack,
that
if we were at
hasn't
Ripper
added
Tom's,
water to
Yep.
hot
couldn't get
butter?
the
Because I
Right.
have and I don't know why.
All right. Sourdough. This just sounds like a doesn't sound like a positive one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sourdough is a bit more of the unexpected.
okay.
So, yeah, sourdough is like when you're riding a good wheel that you're usually like pretty confident on, and then you hit like a patch on the road or like something that you're not quite ready for, and you almost lose it, but you manage to like pull it off last moment, like the full sourdough. So like
it's like still a positive situation. Like net outcome is great, but it's like whoa, that was your
sourdough.
you know.
You mentioned like you think
Chronic
it's going to be
red.
good.
yeah.
Chronic red.
Where to like? Could you use sourdough in terms of getting a sick wheel and then finding out that it swelled? Would that be a sourdough?
That's just more sour.
It could be a sourdough if you find out midway down the fucking run.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it takes a sec. Like the stone ground on a wheel will be sick, and then the stone ground's gone. It's not sick.
Are there any other feelings of or wheel terminology that you think we should touch on before we wrap it up?
I like the fade max.
I'm looking at fade max.
I'd really like to hear your thoughts on the fade max.
I'm just thinking of Max with a fade.
So the fade maximum is probably like when you go on a grip a corner, when you're like, yeah, we're gonna hold the line, and then you feel the back start to go and the front start to go.
Yeah.
And you're still holding your line, but you're starting to like dump a fair
Full
bit. Like
fadage.
the wheels are like just almost like 3 thane lines, like your 2 diagonal wheels are on the same
And that
axis.
you're just holding on by that
Yeah.
one wheel.
Like you're on the edge of like falling onto a hand, but you're not quite there because they're dumping and like giving you that resistance to maintain it.
Yep.
It's definitely the slip zone, the smear. But personally, the smear
So
is
we're
grippy.
talking about fade max, but the slip zone and the smear.
So
And he's probably riding dumpers that are in the butter zone, or were in the butter
Yeah,
zone, but now they're
most
feeling
definitely.
chalky.
Yeah.
I will say it doesn't even need to be dumpers in that sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like the
100%.
fade max is like my favorite place to be
I saw you fade maxing today.
on any corner.
You were in the fade max today, I think.
A couple times for sure, and that's my favorite thing. Like hand up, and you're just gripping, and you're fading, like to the max, but you're not like icing.
I feel like
not
that's
an
the
ice
Don
situation.
fade,
Yeah.
and
That could be
that's
Don.
not the not the fade max.
Yeah,
I feel like the
that's the
fade
good
max
fade.
is like the dumpers that have got too small, and then you go to grip a corner and you just end up going straight.
Yeah.
And it's just no good.
All right, well, I prefer the Don.
Yeah.
that situation. Yeah.
What's the best wheel to feel the fade max in?
I don't know if you ever really
Tricky
want to
question.
feel
You
the
don't really
fade
want to feel it.
max, to be honest.
But so when's the time you've been in the fade max zone and you've just held on? It's like a super tight time.
Usually, if it's like a run where your wheels started big and like you're used to the size and like the butterage, and then as you go down and you start milking slides, you do a few big slides and you feel them start getting lower, like, and as you lose grip as you're taking these corners, like you start sort of, if you put a hand down, the back will just want to scrub out and you're like holding on.
Would you say that's the full sourdough?
Nah,
Not quite.
sourdough
It's
is
just-
a bit more of a like,
It's just a bit of. It's just a
unexpected.
dose.
Yeah.
It's just a dose.
I'm a
The
technology
sourdoughs is
teacher,
like
and you're an English
expecting
teacher.
the goods and it's the
Yeah, the sourdoughs is when you cop a wig.
So it's just the dosage.
Yeah.
It's just the dosage. It's not the sourdoughs.
Suffix.
Okay, so I've realised during this conversation that all of these, the butter, there's suffixes and is that it, Jayden?
The subcategory.
Because there's butter, there's buttery, which is I expected buttery, but there's butteridge.
Butteridge,
I've been hearing like floatage. I've been hearing
chalkage, scratchage,
chalkage.
sugage, floatage.
Floatage is when
It's-
you take your weight
Yeah.
off the wheels.
Tell me about floatage. Tell me about floatage.
So the floatage is like pure lean. You're not kicking the board out, you're turning and it floats out. Like you just let it lean out and you're just kind of letting it do its
Just
thing.
floating on a cloud.
Should feel a lot more relaxing.
Pink 7-O's.
And if it doesn't, you're doing the wrong. Pink 7-O's, floatage.
I feel like it's not really about the wheel, it's more about the slide.
Yeah, it's definitely the way you do it.
I would almost go as far as say like certain trucks can definitely influence the
Yeah.
floatage a lot, because I remember when I
You
first
need a truck that turns for sure for
When-
the big float.
when I first started riding the steel Rojas, the 19mm ones, it felt like the full floatage. Like you could just almost like snowboard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just kind of
19
just
mil
lean
rate.
and you just like you just it's just floating. There's no other word to
They
describe
just
it.
have so much leverage.
And it didn't matter on the wheel.
Yeah, before you've even like got to put the effort in to kick the board out, they're gone. Like it's full. The rake and design of them is just designed to slip and wob.
Wake a bit grumpy, mate. Go back to bed.
Thank you, Max. for
Max is
driving.
yelling at people
Max
now.
is just going in today. It has been a ridiculous
Father
day.
Max.
We
Max
Praise
being
the Lord.
grumpy.
we're back. We just had a technical difficulty. The camera is burning hot. The big bright lights right behind it.
Hot pies.
Any other words that you've used you'd like to touch on before we wrap it up?
Gummage.
Tell me about gummy or gummage or the gummage.
Gummy is definitely more of a grippy feeling.
Yeah,
a bit more
the,
of a like
the name gives it away almost.
100% more gluey and kind of like bouncy almost.
Yep.
But definitely gummy wheels tend to like dump the powder.
Okay.
I was about to say that, like, you can have a super soft, usually with a super soft wheel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like a gumball, for
Yeah,
example,
so-
is an obvious example. But like
Gummy-
super soft,
Yeah.
it's kind of grippy, but they dump.
Yeah, a
Okay.
dumpy wheel that slows you down. Usually gummy wheels are like,
Not that fast.
oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, usually dumpers
It's usually a
aren't
lower
fast.
rebound for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
yeah.
any dumpers are really fast.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
What were you gonna say?
Yeah,
You came right up here, and you're about to.
You're about to. I've got to say. I've got to say quickly.
I was going to say gummy, in my opinion, is usually not the goods.
Okay.
Yeah.
gummy is a lot easier that if you like dig the toes in on a big keel standy on a gummy wheel,
Yep.
they can just grip so hard. Like they can
Chow.
go from like slider nice to just instant kill all your speed.
Yeah.
And your body can sometimes just can't take that G-force.
Not the goods.
Yeah.
I would say it's the worst of all the worlds, because you don't have the speed. You don't have the speed from like a higher rebound wheel, and you just have that like kind of like really soft, stuck in the pavement
Yeah,
feel.
definitely
And
slow
you're
down
not
a
really
lot quicker.
getting any, like, it's real in between of all the bad qualities of a wheel.
Gummy is
I
When you
agree.
get bucked, it kind of feels like this. You go, "Doi." That's what it feels like, you know?
Can you just do that one more time?
Doi.
Thank you.
Second time was better, honestly.
So, yeah, I just reckon gummy wheels are a lot more required in certain situations. Like, you can't just, like, bang a gummy wheel on and every spot's going to be done.
Yeah.
Gummy is when the hill is slip and steep and, like, having a bit of extra, like, pushback is just nice. But usually it's, like, when it's nice, it's at a hill where they're not pushing back.
Yeah.
If you take a gummy wheel to a slippery hill and they're not gummy, it's dawn.
Right.
Yeah, but I would also say, like,
Yeah.
like
that?
that's a big thing, is like a gummy wheel will often like get softer with heat. And so you depending what you're after, you'd either want to or not want to use it on like an actual hot hill. Because if you want the buttage and like the proper Donsonage, you'd probably want the heavy heat, because then it kind of like removes a bit of the bit of the gummage that's actually on there. But if you're looking for grip, like if it's a downhill wheel, you probably don't want to use it in a like hot situation, because it's just gonna be so slow. Like as they heat up, they just like sink into the road way too much.
And you really want to
And you
get that
just-
full Donsonage.
Yeah, and you just lose the Don, and then what are you there for?
Dude. I got nothing else to ask or say, honestly.
we got it. You can do it.
Go.
One more time. Oh yeah.
All right, honestly, boys.
Shout out, get that.
Get that. I've got a question. I'm hoping that you guys listen to the podcast. Is this true or false?
I do.
I do, yeah.
Now, because I'm surrounded by... I don't know what he said then. I'm surrounded by a lot of people who say that they love it, but I can't jump on. I don't want to hear myself talk. What's it like being on the podcast for the first time, you two?
Terrifying. Don't want to come back. Nah, it's cash.
So good.
So good. You
We'll
know
see how
what?
people react. If people judge me, then I'm...
I think this might be the most reacted to podcast, and one that will be spoken about for a long time, this podcast, honestly.
It's crazy though, Benson, because I felt the same, and I was like, oh. After watching the last one I did, I was like, I really don't want to do that again. But like, now I'm real stoked to be here.
Conversations
like-
about skating.
Oh,
We
yeah.
do it all day anyway.
And you know what? Like, you do a great job,
Thank you, sir.
and that's
Yeah.
and that makes
Yeah.
all the difference
Thank you,
for
sir.
being up here.
Definitely.
Yeah, Jack.
Round of applause.
Thank you.
Yeah, the mate.
Full done.
Nah, but for real, I know you guys.
Jack is the butter zone.
I know you guys are only here for a short time, but welcome back anytime. You know this. I'm saying it to these guys because they haven't heard it. But Scotty, you did what was quite probably the sickest world tour an Australian has ever done. There are lots of Australians that have done world tours, but honestly, this is just my thoughts from the way I looked at it from the outside in. I feel like you've done probably the sickest world tour, and it'd be hard to top that. So you have lots of great stories that people would love to hear, and I'd
Yeah,
love to have
definitely.
those conversations. So I've got to get you back down to talk about that.
Yep.
And Benson, like I said at the start of the podcast, I mentioned it. People are messaging me all the time saying, when's Benson going to travel here? When's Benson coming to NC? I'm waiting for you to do that world tour because he did it.
Need
Everyone,
it.
everyone knows how crazy this dude is. You're on the same level, bruh, to me, but people need to see it.
Yeah.
All the videos you're putting
More
out,
butter.
all the videos you're putting out are sick, but people, I want you to go to NC. I want you to go smash through Europe, all the Alps, stack the clips up because you're so talented, dude. You got to get out there. Let people experience the full Donson, bro.
You just gotta
Like,
take the butter zone to the world, dude.
Yeah, I'll go and make some friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
worldwide butter zone. Like, come on.
so before we wrap it up, another really big thank you. Any shout outs, Jev?
I mean, just you, man.
Yeah.
Get that skate.
Shout out Jack,
Always.
man.
My dogs.
It's such
Took
a
us out
pleasure.
skating all day.
It's
It was
always
fucking
such
sick.
a pleasure.
Shout out to George and Gordo.
Also,
Yeah, lad.
also,
Every
Oh, shout out. Give all the shout outs right now.
you just got to remember every I forgot the start of the thing, but every dog has its day, lad. Yeah.
also, yeah, you know, we kind of touched on it, but shout out Max Heaton.
Yeah.
You know, got his license, is actually driving me around, like pulling his weight for the last 11 years, and that's beautiful. because
Love that.
you know.
Shout out Max.
Also,
If it wasn't for Max, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah,
I'd say so. Yeah, exactly.
for real. Shout out all the companies that these boys are supported by.
Yeah.
Giving them gear and getting them to places around the world. It's the sickest thing having Australian skateboarders have eyes on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are three people that you should have your eyes on. Apologies for the very, very noisy crowd tonight. Thanks for tuning in to the Get That Skate podcast.
See you next time.
Yeah.
Love you all.
A reach just fell off the.
There's a fish on the ground.
Laters, yeah, press it.
Could I get to that window?